This is the Verizon Extra Innings Show. Verizon, the most reliable 5G in St. Louis.
But the Cubs are going to postseason play as a wild card. The pitch. Crooks swings and strikes out, and this season has come to an end. The Cubs won this one today 2-0.
That's what it sounded like on the final Sunday here in 2025. Joe Pott, and I welcome you into the Extra Innings Show here from KMOX, from our KMOX studios. Our Extra Innings Show presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Cardinals fall 2-0. They finished the season at 78-84. The Cubs at 92-70 headed to postseason play, where they'll meet the Padres in the first round. You can get in if you want, 314-436-7900. Easier still to jump on the socials and do it there. Our stream is live on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, and I can see those comments, and we can jump in right there. If you prefer, the Cardinals fall in this one. We're going to learn a whole lot more coming up here in the next couple of days when we hear from the incoming president of baseball operations. That would be Chaim Bloom. We'll first hear from John Mozeliak Monday at noon. We will hear from John Mozeliak. He will have a goodbye press conference. I don't know what else to call it. A final press conference as the president of baseball operations. So that will be Monday at noon. You can hear that on KMOX. Then Tuesday at 10 in the morning, you can hear from the new president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. That will be at 10 o'clock, and you can hear that right here on KMOX as well. So hear from both of them. We'll carry both of those press conferences here on KMOX, so you will be able to listen in as John Mozeliak says his goodbyes, says his thank yous, presumably, and wraps things up for his tenure. And you can be live as Chaim Bloom gives you his plan and kind of lays things out. Let's go right to the phone lines, though. We'll start with Randy. Randy, you are up on the Extra Innings Show.
How you doing today?
I'm good.
If you could you let us know who plays in a wild card? Do you guys know yet?
Yes, I can figure that. I can get that up for you.
Okay, and then do the American League too, if you can.
Yep, absolutely. I can do that in just 1 second.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate the call. Let's see if we can. I'll see if I can get that that bracket up here for the postseason as Randy requested. This is what it looks like right now. Let's see. So it will be in the National League. It will be the Reds and the Dodgers. That is a 6-3 matchup. The Padres and the Cubs is the 5-4 matchup. So those are your first round games. The Reds and Dodgers, they're going to meet the Phillies in the second round series in the NLDS. The winner of the Padres Cubs is going to meet the Brewers in the NLDS. In the American League, Detroit and Cleveland will play in the first round, which used to not be the thing, but in fact, it's happening in both first rounds. So Detroit and Cleveland on the first round, and Boston and New York in the first round. That's a heck of a first round series, the Red Sox and Yankees. So the winner of the Detroit-Cleveland series, they go to Seattle to play in that series for the ALDS. The winner of Boston and New York goes to Toronto. So that's an All-American League East playoff bracket right there. So hopefully that clears it up. Alan is next up on KMOX. Alan, you're on the Extra Innings Show.
Hi. First of all, I'm not in the Ollie Haters Club. I think he's done a good job for what he has been given. That being said, I've got kind of a long-standing disagreement with him on batting Herrera second. He doesn't strike out too much. He puts the ball in play more often than not. Well, we all know he's got some slug. He's got a decent average. I would want him for my RBI guy batting third or fourth. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that. It makes a lot of sense to me. I think that the beginning of that is why you see him in the number 2 spot. He doesn't strike out a lot. He does get on base. And I think that probably it was more of a, he didn't stay healthy the entire year. Now, he produced a lot when he was in there, but I think as things go forward, I wouldn't be surprised to see Herrera move down into the number 3 spot or the number 4 spot if you get another guy that can be consistent in the number 2 spot. But I certainly understand that. I certainly can appreciate that.
I just hadn't heard anybody, over the last 2 months talking about it. You can't control the health of the player, but when he's in there, you can control, where you put him and what he does.
You can for a lot of the year, for most of the year, you had a Wilson Contreras, you have an Alec Burleson. I think those guys were kind of keeping those 3-4 spots in there. But I think that your point is a good one, and I think Herrera would fit nicely in a number 3 or 4 spot.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Alan. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Don. Don, you're up on the Extra Innings Show.
Hi, Joe. How you doing, buddy?
Good, Don.
Yeah, what I want to talk about is the ownership here. Basically, you've had the last 3 seasons, they've been poor. I mean, if you don't spend money, this team is not going to contend, and you're going to lose people at the stadium for seats and all that goes. And if I was Chaim Bloom, I would think he would bring in his own manager and his own coaches, because, like I said, I don't think much of the pitching coach here. I mean, this pitching team here give up a lot of home runs. There's something not right with the pitching coach here, and maybe if they brought a different pitching coach in, maybe it would change, and a different manager. I think it's time for a change. He's been on the job 4 years here. Yeah, I realize he hadn't had the pieces to work with, but this is part of the ownership. They don't spend no money, and you can't expect people to come out here and support you if you don't spend any money. I hang on the line, Joe, and I want to hear your comments, buddy. Have a good day.
Yeah, Don, no, I appreciate it. I'll counter one thing. The Cardinals really haven't given up a lot of home runs. They're in the bottom 6 in home runs allowed this year at 170 home runs. The other thing that I would say in favor of a Dusty Blake, or really as the pitching staff, is look at the job that this bullpen did after you got rid of 3 high leverage guys in the Ryan Helsley, Ryan Helsley, Maton, and Matz. Those 3 guys. I mean, this bullpen was really, really good down the stretch. So that would be my counter to that. Now, to the other side of that is, I have said all year long that if Chaim Bloom says, I want a new manager and I want a new coaching staff, you have to say yes to that. You have to allow him to have that freedom and that flexibility. If you're asking him to redo this franchise and to put this franchise on a different path, on a better path, if that's what he thinks does it, then by all means, I think that that's what happens and that's what should happen. I don't know that that's the case. As far as we have heard, he has a good working relationship with Ali Marmol. And so, again, I think that all of this gets answered very quickly on Tuesday. At least we have a much better idea. But, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So I appreciate the call, Don.
Thank you, Joe.
You got it, man. One more call here. We'll get to some comments in a second. Leslie is next. Leslie, you're up on the Extra Innings Show.
Yes, good afternoon, sir. My name is Leslie. Like you just said, I go way back with Bob Burns and Bob Brake in the 70s when baseball was really baseball and broadcasters were broadcasters. But anyway, I've never was too critical of Ali Marmol all year long. But I do believe that what he did yesterday was really out of bounds when he chose to walk Mike Bush just to prevent him from getting that hit in a meaningless game. I thought that was chicken. I thought that was really low of him, and I hope he doesn't come back. That's what I got.
Oh, I appreciate it, Leslie. I think that the answer there obviously is that was just a 4-run game at the time. The Cubs had just stolen third base in that game. If they thought it was out of too far out of reach, I don't know that they would have been stealing third base. So I think on a baseball side, that's the move to make right there. Michael Bush had been hammering this team. That was still a winnable game, and the Cardinals are still trying to win a game. Rick Horton made the point yesterday that if you're the San Diego Padres watching that game, and a win there for the Cardinals, therefore a loss for the Cubs, could make a difference in home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs, you want Oliver Marmol managing that way. You want him making those baseball decisions. I think it had nothing to do with the fact that Michael Bush was possibly hitting for the cycle. It had everything to do with the fact that the Cardinals were still trying to win a game. So I think that is the answer there. I appreciate the call, though, from Leslie. Let's hit some of these comments here on our stream. Chad, the Chiefs in a couple of times. Thank goodness the 2025 Cardinals season has mercifully come to an end. 2 losing seasons in the last 3, no playoff appearances in the last 3. We're slowly becoming the Miami Marlins. I don't know if that's quite the case, but I understand the feeling. Garland says we'll be battling the Pirates for the bottom spot in the division next year. Again, I don't even know if that is necessarily the truth. Now, they did have a losing record against the Pirates this year, by the way. I think there are some pieces here, and you can envision some other pieces here. I think that you probably likely have 3 of your rotation intact in Matthew Liberatore, Michael McGreevy, and now perhaps Kyle Leahy. We still don't know if Sonny Gray is going to be here. Right now he is, so until something changes, you might have 4 pieces of your rotation. You expect to see J.J. Weatherholt up in the big leagues. I think barring a real collapse or something alarming that you see in spring training, J.J. Weatherholt's going to be in the big leagues next year. So you still have quite a lot of pieces. I do think this will be a rebuild, yes, but I don't know that it will be a disaster. I don't see that being the case. Aaron says, well, the media seems okay with 78 wins. I don't know if I'm the media, Aaron. I don't think that I'm okay with 78 wins. I don't think anybody's okay with 78 wins, but it's not like I'm surprised by 78 wins. And I wouldn't have been surprised if on opening day you would have said this team finishes with 78 wins or 4 under or 5 under or 2 over or 3 over, something like that. We're not okay with it, but I think we understand where this team is at right now and understand that in 2026, this is the beginning probably, or the continuation maybe, of the way that this team is going right now. They are rebuilding in order to better position themselves to be a legitimate contender in years down the stretch. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you getting in on the comments, though. Joe says, looking forward to the Chaim Bloom era. And I think that's the way that you should be approaching this, because we don't know anything yet as far as with any detail what that direction looks like. We're going to find out a lot of that on Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Again, you can hear it on KMOX Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Walt says, for reasons he does not understand, MLB has evolved to where many clubs, I should say, want their best hitter batting second. The only reason I do understand is the chance for more at-bats over 162 game schedule. That's true as well, and he's commenting on a caller that we had earlier that was talking about, didn't really agree with Ivan Herrera hitting in that number 2 spot. I don't have a big problem with him hitting in the number 2 spot, though I wouldn't be surprised if he does slide down to a number 3 spot perhaps in this lineup. Let's see. Chad again, a manager's responsibility is to make the players on the team better. He failed to do so. I disagree with that. A manager's job is to manage the game, hence the title manager. He is given his players, he is given a roster that he is to work with, and he's to get the best out of that roster. As far as winning, losing games, what do they say? You're going to, it's just, let's see, you're going to win 50, you're going to lose 50. It's the other 50 or so that really can be decided. And I don't think Ollie had a negative effect on that, certainly, especially with the roster that he had. I think that, again, we knew the direction this team was going in. It's been going in that direction. And I think Oliver Marmol did a pretty darn good job with the roster that he had and with the situation that he was dealt. You know, a lot has been made of the fact that the Cardinals use the fewest number of players in Major League Baseball. That says a lot about those players. It also says a lot about the organizational depth, and it's not very deep. You don't have the ability to make the changes that you would if this were a better organization from top to bottom as far as depth. You just don't have the players to replace some of the players that you have in the big leagues. Let's see. Who else here? Aaron doesn't expect anything with this horrible ownership. Well, I guess we will find out, Aaron, if that is the case. And he says that they will celebrate 78 wins on Tuesday. I highly doubt that that's the fact, Aaron, but again, appreciate you getting in. And Walt says pieces, yes. Quality pieces, no. High quality pieces, definitely not. Well, again, I would consider that J.J. Weatherholt to be a high-quality piece. I would consider Ivan Herrera to be a high-quality piece. I would consider Mason Wynn to be a quality piece at least. Certainly defensively, he's a high-quality piece. I've also said, again, if there are deals to be made, I don't think there's anybody on this Major League roster that's untouchable. Even an Ivan Herrera, even a Mason Wynn, if you can better your organization for making those deals, you make those deals. We don't know yet what deals are going to be made by Chaim Bloom and this regime. I want to get to John real quick before we get to break. John, you are up. You're on KMOX.
Hey, I would be excited if they made a deal, but I'm not going to kid myself and think that next year is just going to be completely transformed. But the thing that I kept hearing, whether it was with Scott or Gorman or Walker, was that we got to give these young players a runway. And I always thought that the minor leagues were the runway. What's going on here?
Yeah, it's a good point, and I think that I go back to what we were just talking about, right? This organization is not deep enough right now to do that, and so that's why I think we were told that we were getting a runway season for some of these guys, like you said, like a Gorman, like a Walker, because they needed to, unfortunately, have that development at the big league level. Ideally, I don't think they would be wanting those players to have that kind of runway at the big league level. Understand, Chaim Bloom was brought in here 2 years ago to overhaul the minor leagues. It was finally then that ownership and management looked and said, we've neglected it too long. We're not in the same spot that we used to be with developing talent and bringing along quality talent. So it needs to be overhauled. So that was the first job that Chaim Bloom was brought in to do, to reevaluate what the development looked like, what the minor league system looked like. They added a ton of coaches. They changed the way they were doing things at the minor league level. That's been over the last couple of years, with the progression taking place to Chaim Bloom becomes the overall president of baseball operations, which takes place this coming week. So I think that they are doing that. I think they recognize that that was an issue. And ideally, I don't think they would want that to be the case with those players trying to develop at the big league level.
Do we learn anything, though?
Yeah, I think we did. And unfortunately, I don't think it was very good for a Nolan Gorman, maybe not for a Jordan Walker. They admitted month and a half ago, that perhaps Jordan Walker needs to put some more time into his preparation, into the work that he does. You can see the raw talent. You can see the potential there. He smokes the ball. He hits the ball amazingly hard. He just needs to figure out what that swing should look like and what that approach should be at the plate. For Nolan Gorman, I don't think it's probably as good. I think that we did figure out that maybe he's not the guy. And I don't know, maybe other organizations think differently. Maybe they've seen enough. So I think they learned some things. Again, they're not a deep enough organization to make a lot of those changes. And so at least this year, you were stuck with a lot of those guys at the big league level.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, John. I appreciate the call. Let's get Larry in real quick. Larry's on the line. You're on KMOX, Larry.
So in reviewing Chaim Bloom's history, he spent many years in Tampa Bay, and he worked his way up. He worked his way up all the way to GM. And his budget was, for the team budget, he was like under $50 million, and they were credible. They say he's good with young pitching. I don't know if that's true or not. So then when they finally let him go, he went to Boston, and Boston's payroll was on over $150 million. So he trimmed that. So basically, he's a money slasher kind of guy. Would you agree with that?
I don't know if I would agree that he's a money slasher. I think that in Tampa, it was a matter of their resources were going to be limited anyway. So I think that was a case of making the most of what you had. In Boston, he famously really did not get along great with ownership, I think, and that's where some of the issues arise there in Boston. And again, I don't know if he was brought in to trim that payroll back. I think that you look more closely at the Tampa situation, and I certainly don't think that the Cardinals' payroll is going to get down to where Tampa was at. But I do think, but we know it's not going to approach where Boston was at, for example. So I think it's getting the most out of that. We've seen a little bit of maybe what he prioritizes in pitching in the strikeouts, the hard throwers, as opposed to what we've seen for many years in St. Louis, which is the pitch to contact, rely on your defense. So that part will change there. And I think otherwise, like I said, I hope, like most of you, that we're going to learn about a lot about it on Tuesday when he finally gets to approach, or I guess speak to us.
There's one thing you were talking about, it's free. Everybody's available in a trade. I don't know if I would put that on Wynn. It's hard to find a shortstop that makes 3 years in a season. I don't even think Ozzie Smith did that. That's an incredible amount of great defense.
It's a great point. I don't mean that I want to see him go. All I meant is that I don't necessarily.
Everything's open.
Yeah, I just don't necessarily think anybody's untouchable. I would like to see Mason Wynn stay here because you're right on. Ozzie Smith never had a fielding percentage as good as Wynn's was this year. He is definitely an elite defender at short.
But we're not saying he's Ozzie Smith. We're saying he had one heck of a year, and it would be hard to get rid of him because I don't know how much time you saw Ozzie Smith play, but he was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, my favorite player when I was growing up, man. I appreciate it,
Beautiful.
Larry. Thank you. I appreciate the call.
You too. Bye-bye.
There's Larry with us. Let's take a break here. We'll come back with more. It's the Extra Innings Show. I'm Joe Pott on KMOX.
There's a big red barn where you say free. Norm's Bargain Barn. On discount windows, doors, and things. Norm's Bargain Barn.
Hi, I'm Norm Wilkie. Come see my new selection of Amish cabinetry made by my good Amish friends at Countrywood Products. We now stock 5 styles of cabinetry for you to choose from.
When you need to save on discount windows, doors, and cabinetry, come to Norm's Bargain Barn. With locations in Shiloh and Fenton at the bottom of Gravois Bluffs. Visit normsbargainbarn.com.
That's normsbargainbarn.com.
At Sandberg Phoenix, we are more than just a law firm. Our attorneys are committed to you, your business, and your community. From startups to established businesses to estate plans, we are ready to serve you in the areas of business litigation, intellectual property, health law, and products liability. With offices in Missouri and Illinois, you can conveniently visit us today at sandbergphoenix.com. That's sandbergphoenix.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertising.
Now, back to the Verizon Extra Innings Show.
Joe Pott back in on KMOX. Our Extra Innings Show is presented by Gray Bar. Gray Bar, your electrical and datacom, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. Happy to keep the conversation going if you'd like to. 314-436-7900. Still plenty of comments here on our stream. Aaron's getting in. Chad's continuing to get in. Really unhappy about the season. I understand that. I understand that you are unhappy about the season. Chad said the team is absolutely awful. I don't agree with that. It is not a good team, certainly, but I don't think awful is the right word either. If you think about what the Colorado Rockies looked like this year, what the White Sox looked like the last couple of years, I mean, the Rockies didn't win 50 games this year. The Washington Nationals didn't win 70 games. The White Sox didn't win 60 games this year. Those are awful teams. This is a team and a franchise that's in transition. We knew it was going to be. It has been for several years, and we're getting the change at the top officially this week. So I don't know why it seems like maybe it was a surprise to some folks because this is what we thought they were going to be. Picture, the old Vikings head coach, right? Pounding on the podium. They are what we thought they are. I mean, that's what the Cardinals are. We thought they were going to be right around 500, maybe a little bit worse, maybe a little bit better. It's what they've been for 3 years. So that's where we are. Now you go forward. Now you bring in a new top of baseball operations and things change. And maybe next year it's going to be very similar. And maybe the year after that, it's going to get a little better and a little better. I don't know yet. We're going to have to see what that direction looks like. Yes, Chad, they lost 4 of 6 to the Rockies. I get it. And I understand that the Cardinals standard is better than that. We've been saying this for 3 years, but it is, again, what we kind of expected from this team. This is the team that we expected to see through this season. I hope that the questions were answered as far as some of those players that we mentioned, Walker, Gorman. We certainly think they have been for Herrera, for Burleson. So there's been some good things. You find out a lot about the bullpen, and the bullpen was really good for most of the year, even after the trade of the 3 guys at the trade deadline. I didn't say accepted. Aaron says accepted or expected. I said expected. Do you accept it? You don't have to accept it, but unfortunately, that's the way the franchise is right now. They are changing. That's why they have changed the baseball leadership in the group. Not just Chaim Bloom. Rob Serfolio was brought in this year as an assistant GM. They are trying to change the direction of the franchise. I don't know what else to say, and I don't know what else that is expected from some of those folks. Bullpen was a C. I don't think the bullpen was a C. I don't think you give the bullpen a C for this year. I'm just getting to some of the comments here on our stream. The bullpen was way better than expected, I think, and the pieces continue to be better even after they got rid of, at the beginning of the year, the three that were the best in the first half. Ryan Helsley, by the way, just had a terrible finish to the year with the Mets, and of course the Mets had a terrible finish to the year, not getting into the postseason. Reds get in today. If you didn't see that, the Reds will get in as the National League wild card, and the Mets, with the second highest payroll in baseball, are not getting in. I don't know. Aaron's asking about or commenting regarding the money. I don't know yet what the DeWitts are going to do as far as spending money. I don't know if part of bringing in Chaim Bloom is meaning that they're going to expand the payroll. Will they push it a little bit? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, and I don't think anybody knows what that looks like until we get a chance to hear from Chaim Bloom on Tuesday morning, and we will hear from Chaim Bloom on Tuesday morning. He speaks at 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. John Mozeliak will depart with a press conference at noon tomorrow. I do need to tell you what's on deck is sponsored by Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best. ChesterfieldFence.com. That is what's on deck. We hear from John Mozeliak at noon tomorrow, and you can hear it on KMOX. We'll carry it live right here on KMOX. On Tuesday, you'll hear from Chaim Bloom. 10 o'clock in the morning, you'll get to hear from the new Cardinals president of baseball operations. And I don't know how much he details. I don't know if he might lay out a huge, long plan for us to take a look at and dissect and talk about, and he might not. So we'll see what that looks like. And even if he does, there's a whole baseball offseason to look forward to. There's a whole lot of change coming to this organization, whether it is deals, it is player signings, it is player trades, maybe releases. I think all of those things are certainly on the table with Chaim Bloom and with the new organization, and I look forward to it. I hope that you look forward to it as fans, because I do think it is a positive that the Cardinals they have clearly seen that they need to change. They have started that process with the minor league organization, with bolstering the development, with bolstering the baseball operations, and then, of course, bringing in the change. At the top, Chaim Bloom comes in starting this week. So I thank you for your comments, your calls, all the interaction, not just today, but all season long. It has certainly been my pleasure to be here to talk with you about that. I'll be here throughout the offseason. Matt Pauley will have you certainly the bulk of the time, Monday through Friday. He's got Sports Open Line from 6 to 8 on most nights. I might be here occasionally doing that, and I'll talk to you in plenty other ways as well. And I said it's going to be an interesting off season. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to track, and it's going to be a lot of change coming for the Cardinals. So big thanks to all those folks we mentioned before, specifically John Rooney, Rick Horton, Mike Claiborne, Ryan Schulte, Jim Jackson, all those guys that have done the work all season long. We just have the pre and the post here. Thanks again to my co-hosts, Matt Pauley, Tom Ackerman. They do a lot of the work. I just get to do it on Saturday and Sundays. Kevin Wheeler, Nate Gatter, Scott Warman, the guys back there behind the board. John is right there. There he is. John Camp today. Sometimes it's Daniel Hinkamp. Sometimes it's Kyle Sixta, Drew Young, Matt Pajeski. Those guys work hard every day, and I could not say enough about them. Ben Boyd as well, getting everything set with the network and everything we do through the Cardinals. So I appreciate that. Again, thanks to all of the callers and commenters. I enjoy the interaction, and I hope you do as well. Keep it here. Lots to come on your home of the Cardinals, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
There is no doubt about it. The MVP of outdoor solutions.